just don't understand how, like, we're a team that has the most sacks in the NCAA, and we've hardly had any holding penalties called against the other teams, the entire year. And I just don't see how that's possible.
Welcome back to 2.5 Takes. We are on episode 29. Today's word, folks, like usual. OU, Oklahoma City. Steven, I think this side, wherever it puts
Whichever side I am.
Yep. It's the whole like Brady Bunch thing. But it's Steven and I today. May see Paul, may not. Life's always good and fun. So, it's things happen, right? So we're gonna talk about a few things. Like I said, first thing is gonna be OU. The coolest thing was even though the game didn't go the way we wanted, Steven, you got to go to your first SEC night game and first home playoff game. How's that?
Well, SEC night game of this year. We had
this year.
SEC night games last year, but yeah, just off the bat, just going off of the vibes on campus and stuff like that. I mean, I got to go. Me and a couple other guys went to the Oklahoma Breakdown podcast. They had a live podcast on Thursday night, so that was pretty cool. At the casino. So we went to that. It was packed. I mean, tons of people. So like there was just a lot of excitement just around the city, and then got to campus on Saturday, and like we got there, man, I got there probably like a little after, like around 4 or something, a little after 4. And it was packed. I mean, we got set up to do the Walk of Champions. The team gets dropped off by the buses. They walk around and everything, and it was 20 people deep, like just crammed, packed around that area. And then right after that, everybody tried to move over to go to game day. And game day, I took a few pictures and stuff of it, and it is just like a mass of humanity that I've never seen at a game day at OU before. So everybody's amped up. Norman schools were closed. They let OU students off, the last day. So, I mean, it was awesome. Get into the stadium. They've got, they had some laser light show stuff going on. They had just really good atmosphere. The fans were in this. I mean, the stadium was full 45 minutes before the game started.
So when Castiglione called for that to happen, it really was 45 minutes and it's full. The game day experience was actually pretty neat. I like the idea just because got the kids today. The game day experience was pretty crazy. It looked like a sea of red. I don't remember the last time I've seen. Not just, I'm not going to, I mean, I would love for someone to share their views. I've never seen a game day that overwhelming with all those people. It looked awesome at the camera angle. And then once they were in the stadium during the game, the entire broadcast was loving it. I mean, they were eating every bit of about that atmosphere up. And I really think, if I remember right, their analytic specialist, he picked Alabama, and so did, of course, Saban, like he's going to. But he did say, like, this would be a massive challenge. He goes, it would show, how things would go if Alabama does pull it out. But they were loving that light show that kind of started it all off.
Yeah.
When it went all black, and then you started seeing all the strobes on the field, and it looked. We were watching it, and I'm like, I want to be there right now. I'm excited.
Yeah.
So it looked pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. The way the first quarter started, was just insane. I mean, if you'd have told every OU fan, hey, they're going to have 5 yards of offense, or 12 yards of offense in the first quarter, and you're going to be up 10-0 and getting ready to, go on another drive and, go up 17-0. Even in, like, even looking at that, like even in that, to go up 17-0, we still left points on the board. Probably, we had we had on our second when we scored our kicked our field goal, um, to go up 10-0. There was we had I think it was like third would have been like 3rd and 2 or whatever, and then uh we had an offensive,
Yes.
late, what they said was a late hit, but I mean, pretty weak late hit to me. The ball hadn't even been whistled dead, but
No, and I that was one I will sit there and say, like, I see where that is just a young kid.
yeah,
I
you just
think
can't hit a guy that's standing there, it's just it was a dumb play.
in defense of small people, because that defensive back was probably bigger than I am. But in defense of small people on that field, it was also a thing of like this big man comes out of nowhere. I'm not gonna do anything. You can see this guy's like just around the
Yeah,
pile of scrum,
yeah.
and he just gets hit. You're like, okay. It was just and yeah, you didn't see it. The replay or after the game after that entire um what? Probably in the fridge. That entire situation where Brent just shoot him a new one, and then the offensive coordinator just was like vividly his hand was shaking like
Yeah.
faster than that,
Well,
and it was like, oh, this poor child.
so I made it through. I went back to rewatch, and I made it through the first. I made it through basically to the blocked punt, you know. So
Okay,
and then
I'm
I
glad
had
you
to
got to
turn
there.
then I had to turn it off.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I'm done. So right before that block punt, right, that was fourth down, and I still have a lot of questions about that situation. But
yeah,
um, before that was a third down, was a 3rd and 7 ish, I think. Mateer comes out,
rolls out.
jumps back,
Yeah,
and it's about to get leveled, and
mhm,
pulls a Baker Mayfield, that remnants of that, rolls out, and yes, he has space to probably get the first down. Maybe there's a linebacker, and it depends on how quickly he can come in. But you see him throw a ball, and it's probably one of the better balls because I don't feel like he's as good running out of the pocket and throwing as when this man. The reason we were up 17-0 at one point, he was in the pocket. The line was giving him plenty of time, and this man would step into every single throw and just deliver darts the entire time. This ball, he's on the run, throws it. Xavier has it
yeah,
and just
yeah.
drops it. I
I mean,
still will die on this hill that was what he should have done. Because
yeah.
if he would have run and got, let's say he got the first down but 1 yard, past it, everyone would have been like, look at it wide
Well,
open. Like, why didn't you throw it
so
open?
you look at that play, and you're sitting there, and sometimes, I think he made the right. I mean, Xavier Robinson was open. He threw it to him. He hit him in the hand.
It's a touchdown.
Like, what do you like?
It's a touchdown.
Even if he doesn't score there, it's it's a 40-yard throw. So like there was another guy open shorter. I think Caden Helms was running across, was open, and he could have dumped it down to him, or he could have ran for a first down. Yeah, I agree. He could have easily run for a first down, but why? Like, you can't blame him for a dropped pass. I mean, the guy dropped the ball. That's all that it is. That's all that it comes down to. The guy dropped the ball. But that's not.
Yes.
But that's not even where. If he dropped the ball. Sure, okay, fine. It's still at that point of the game. It's 17-7. We get the ball to punt. If we punt it and we pin them, on the 15-yard line, they probably don't. They don't have necessarily any momentum, or anything like that. But when your punter drops the ball and then doesn't kick, I don't think I've ever seen that in my life.
And the replay, especially from the kind of, it's not his fullback end. He's kind of from like the angle. But watching that replay, I still don't understand how the ball ended up the way it did out of his hands. It just looked weird.
Only thing,
And
yeah, the only thing I can think of is, I mean, I know it was windy up high, but I don't know that it was really windy down low. But maybe he dropped it and the wind caught it, and he was like, "Oh crap!" But I mean, like, wouldn't you rather shank a punt and just get your foot on it than to just drop it to the ground? I don't know. That was one of the had to be one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. But that was the turning point in the game. Even if you go back to where they scored their touchdown, it was 4th and 2, and they scored their touchdown, and we had like 3 missed tackles. And that.
It ended up being 4. The fourth one was like kind of there, but and it was one of those things like this team can tackle so well. Like one of them was Bowen. Bowen was the first tackler, and it was just like it was weak, and like I'm just gonna hit him. I'm not going to wrap up, and it probably would end up being a first down regardless with the first tackle. But you still now you have 4 more downs, and I fully trust this defense to hold them to a field goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just didn't happen. And
Well,
that okay, you give them that fine short field. That's 7 points.
yeah. So you're looking at just the way everything happened. The second quarter was just abysmal, and I look back. I pulled up. I tried to pull up some stats and everything of looking at how, um, kind of how everything went and how everything went into play. Well, now I can't even find that. There it is. Okay. Um, but just looking at in general the stats on what we ran offensively. Defensively, I mean, we played defense good enough that we should have won that game. We
Yeah.
Our defense was good enough. I think our Mason Thomas got held a ton in the second half. I mean, we didn't get
There's a photo of like the guys like literally bear hugging him
yeah. I mean, I got
from behind, and they're like, "Nah,
I just don't understand how, like, we're a team that has the most sacks in the NCAA, and we've hardly had any holding penalties called against the other teams, the entire year. And I just don't see how that's possible. Are they just,
I know."
that just doesn't seem right. So, um, but I tried to pull up the box score and just to look at some stats and everything. And the big thing that I looked at was the first quarter to the first quarter and a half. We were 16 rushes and 16 passes, and
Yes.
we finished the game with there it is. We finished the game with 41 passes and 33 rushes. And out of those, like they count sacks as a rush. So I think we gave up 5 sacks. So really it's 28 rushes to 41 passes. Like that's our running backs were, though they're not great at getting yards. Like one of the biggest things about this offense that frustrates me is that we don't even try. We
We've
basically
talked about this all
we go a quarter, and maybe if it's not 100% working, then we just totally abandon it, and we put it all on Mateer's shoulders. So if you look at what a good offensive coordinator does, is they make, there are plays that are open. There are plays that are open that Mateer is missing. Like the check down that Mateer had that was the pick six. I'm pretty sure he made that check down, and then he missed. Like if you go, I mean, I was in the stadium, and he like checks down because he thinks a rush is coming. The linebacker or the safety that's like up, he bails. Like he just takes off running, and into coverage. And
Yep.
and in that situation, Mateer should go, oh, that guy's bailing. This is a totally different play. I shouldn't throw this short pass. That's what should go through Mateer's head, but that's not what happened. He's already made his decision before the ball is snapped, and it was a horrible decision. So so he but as the offensive coordinator, like you've got to play to your player's strengths, and if your player's strengths or and try and reduce his weakness. If one of his weaknesses is that he can't make good decisions, or that he doesn't make good decisions, then you need to eliminate as many decisions as possible out of that play. So, he doesn't make good decisions. So instead of having an RPO where he can has a chance to hand the ball off or throw it or run himself, then you just call a handoff, you know. And I feel like we've talked about that a lot this year, but
Yes.
it just seems like we've got so many opportunities to do little things right, to check down, to hit a even on it was the first possession whenever we had to punt. There was a play where Burks was running across and Kanik was also running across. Kanik was short, Burks was deep. Kanik was wide open. He dumps it to Kanik.
Yeah.
It's probably a first down, but he tries to force it to Burks, who's got a guy on him, and it's an incompletion, and we punt two plays later or something like that. So there's just so many little things that this offense and one of the ways you combat that and you make things easier on your quarterback is you run the ball with your running backs. I mean, we just didn't do that at all this year. Like I need to go back and look. Like so our running backs in this game got 14 carries. 14 carries for your running backs. And like I think we've said this all year, like they should be getting 25 at a minimum.
Yeah. Really should. And that's where it gets to where it becomes frustrating
Yeah.
because we know when we've proven it. We've shown okay, team stats, rushing yards, yards gained 1,839 rush yards. So we had 431 attempts. I wish it would tell you like more play wise. Average yards per play 5.3, total plays 866. So I wish it would tell you, okay, total plays 866. How much of that was a running? It doesn't tell you that on OU's Sooner Sports.
Yeah,
Um,
you'd have to go down and do some more research on that. Yeah, but
Now, having said all this, having said kind of frustration, and everything else, I will sit there and say that this team, we talked about this a little early on. This team was supposed to go, as in what Vegas odds were, 6.5 games. That was the
yeah, we were
win
supposed
total.
to win
And then
6 to 7 games. Yeah, pretty much.
there was a few optimism, like maybe 8, 9, and this team went 10-3. I mean, I saw a tweet, it was about A&M. We could be like A&M. You go 11-0, and then you lose last two games. You don't beat your interstate rival, plus you just lay an egg at home. At least we weren't that bad looking. Like okay, fine. The end of the game looked awful for many reasons of just
Yeah,
emotions for OU.
missed two. Special teams. Yeah, missed 2 field goals at the end of the game. Yeah.
That first, I'm sorry, I need you to go back and watch that because I still do not believe that was a missed field goal. Like I will
Well,
again, maybe another hill I die on.
so here's one of the rules: if the ball goes over is above the uprights, higher than the uprights, the entire ball has to be inside the uprights. So I don't know that they don't have that angle. They don't have a good enough of an angle, but I don't know. I just it was close enough that he's been so good all year that it was just
Yes.
surprising that he missed that. Um, and it might have been nerves, but he's hit pressure kicks before, And then the last one was kind of a desperation thing, and I really think the wind, like even though the wind as a whole was coming from the south, I think it was hitting and swirling. So I think he didn't get enough.
They show it and they show an
Yeah,
angle at the end of the game, and you see it going, and then
yeah,
you
it
can
just
tell
died.
where
Yeah,
at its crest
yeah,
stopped, and was
yeah.
like, okay. Um,
But to
but
get into
again,
that position, it was already, it would have been tough to come back,
yes,
at all.
the percentage of us coming back were pretty low. But as frustrated as I was that night, it 10-3 season. If Mateer comes back, and I don't know for sure. I would think he does because he was very adamant that I guess he watched the Heisman trophy ceremony. Holly had talked about this before the game kicked off, but he was like he was feeling like he should have been there. Like in terms of if he had not gotten hurt, when we all saw 300 something yards per game until he got hurt, and then it went down to 197.
Yeah.
And then you saw a glimpse of this game where it's like, okay, he could have. Now, do I believe he was a Heisman Trophy winner? No.
Do we believe
Do I
that
believe
he could be? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe
you give him a better running game?
he's got to spend a lot. Yeah, if we can get a better running game, and if he can spend a lot of time, correcting those and seeing the field better, really is what it comes down to. If he can see the field better, then it could make a
I
huge
think
difference.
there are sometimes, I don't know if it's seeing the field better, if it's just when he sits there and again, he puts when he steps into the pocket to make a pass. Watch that first half. The first quarter, well, the reason we're up so much, he did it perfectly every time. It's when we didn't do that. It's when when he's forcing plays and looking very sporadic and almost kind of
tries to bail.
scared.
Yeah, tries to bail.
It's like
the
he was in
pocket
the
is.
pocket a few times. He'd jump.
Yeah,
Like, why are you jumping? Set your feet. I'm not even a quarterback. I know that.
Yeah.
Like, it was weird.
Yeah. So,
But
I think he comes. I think he comes back. It really comes down to I look at. We've definitely got some players that are going to be leaving. Losing. I mean, our Mason Thomas is gone. Grayson Halton is gone. But we got Taylor Wine. It'll be back. David Stone.
Heineke's trying to get one more year.
Yeah, if Owen Heineke can stay, can get another year, that'd be big time. I don't know about Zatania. I don't know if he's going to be. He's got to make a decision on if he wants to go to the draft. I think he's got another year of eligibility. Kip Lewis is probably gone. I mean, that dude's probably a first, maybe second round draft pick at the latest. We already got Kobe McKenzie has announced he's entering the portal. Kendall Dolby's gone. Jaden Gibson, wide receiver. So there's several guys that we kind of got that we've got to, we're gonna have to fill some spots, I think. But a lot of the guys that are coming back are young. We're gonna have to get healthy on the offensive line. If Xavier Robinson and Blaylock can come back and be healthy the whole year, then that'll be good. To me, I look at it and I'm kind of looking at it and I'm like, I want I don't want a full overhaul of the offensive staff, but I would be happy if we could make a couple changes. And that, what are your thoughts on that?
I've read more and more. I'm curious. My first thought would be, I think you were a great player. I think you've done okay as a coach, but DeMarco Murray probably should not be there next year. I think that's an adjustment. And I don't know if it's maybe you give him one more year with this young talent because it's a very young line. But do we keep Bedenbaugh?
Yeah.
Like, is that a coach that you want to adjust? I do think you look at the transfer portal, which we've done pretty well, and it from all accounts, it looks like 26 and 27 so far. Our not draft class, but our recruiting class looks very good. I think I want to say we're first place right now in 27.
Like depends,
and top 5, 26th.
We're first or second, probably in 27. I think we ended 26 because 26 is already over.
Officially over?
I think we were like top 15, maybe. We were like top 15 or something. So not
transfer portal's got to bring in a running back.
Yeah.
Get Ott out. He can go.
Well, Ott's gone. He doesn't have any eligibility left. So Ott's definitely gone.
Yeah.
I look at tight end, and I agree. I think DeMarco Murray, as good of a running back as he is, I just don't think that he's a great running backs coach.
Yep.
And I think he's sporadic there's just decisions that he makes that I don't understand sometimes on who plays and who doesn't play and stuff like that. And we've had guys, that have seen the field and have been really good, but then all of a sudden don't see the field. And then they've transferred, to other teams and they've been great. they've been really
Yes.
good. You know,
Yep.
Tallawee Walker was one of them. Went to Wisconsin. Gavin Sawchuk was really good. Went to Florida State. Um, just guys like that, and then so to have him, and then Joe John Finley. Yeah, I've been saying that for a couple years though. Joe John Finley, tight ends coach. If you have a whole bunch of tight ends and none of them can block, you know, then
There's a problem.
I don't want to see them on the field much. I mean, they're just at that point they're just glorified receivers, and I feel like we probably improved. Canick, he improved a little bit, but he's just not as big as he needs to be as a tight end. We need. I mean, look at the dudes that Alabama had playing tight end, like. And I don't know, maybe Caden Helms can become that, and maybe we got some guys that can become that. But I don't know. I don't know who we can get.
So it says as of right now, and this is Google AI, right? So I can't sit there and 100% tell you this is 100% right, but Ryder Mix, a versatile tight end from the 2026 class, known for his receiving ability and quickness. He chose OU over other major programs. Tyler Ruxer, also from 26 class. Strong brings a strong blocking presence and complementary mix, creating a dynamic duo. Of course, you have Helms, a returning player, and Kent, another tight end who can contribute to the team's depth. That's something that I think we definitely need to focus on. Again, if you're Brent, I think you keep doing and improving the defense like you have been, but there definitely needs to be an adjustment going into the offseason for our offense overall. And I think that might be some cool podcasts. Maybe
Yeah, I think.
outside of the holiday break, we break down
Yeah,
what we're looking forward to with each, maybe special
yeah,
teams, offense,
I
defense.
think that'd be a good one. I've got a couple, people that I think we should try and get on the pod, for that one. One guy that just continually shoots us down when we try and get him, but I guess he's busy.
So busy. No,
Call out to
um,
calling out Andy McDonald. He's on the pod, and maybe we can drop. We can
oh,
drop. Hey, if we're down, if I'm down in Tulsa or whatever, maybe we can drop. We can do one on get Ross on or something like that.
our number one fan.
Yeah,
We talked about this. We had Hidalgo's Saturday. We talked about this. So no, I'd love to have him on. That'd be awesome.
yeah. So, but
Um,
we've got looking at, I don't know what next year looks like, and maybe you've looked at some of the stuff and everything, but you've got to assume that our schedule doesn't look a lot easier than it was this year. We got Georgia at Georgia. We got some tough games and everything, but I you still got to look at that and you got to say, okay, our defense. I trust Brent Venables on the defense. We're losing a couple
yep.
guys, but if we could get Heineke back, it would be huge. And I don't know, maybe they can still convince Kobe McKenzie to stay, because that would be awesome. That would be huge too. But you feel like you can rely on this defense to stick it out, and if Mateer can show massive improvement, and to be honest, this was a vastly different league than what he had played in previously. You know, there's not a lot of guys.
Yes.
There's not a lot of guys that make that transfer from, you know, a group of five, or group of six league to the SEC, or even, the Big 10 or Big 12 or whatever, without any hiccups and stuff. And my thoughts are that there were things that he could make mistakes last year, but he was talented enough and good enough that he could overcome those by being better than all the other players. But that's just not the case, in this league.
So that is a point that I don't know if we were going to talk about, but I do want to vent a little bit. Because before the service, Royce and I were talking about this, how it is very frustrating that we go through what the schedule we did. And even Alabama went through the schedule they did. Many teams went through those schedules, and just every week was a in the dirt, bare knuckle fight. And yet We end up having to play Alabama at home. Cool. But we had to play Alabama again. And you had teams like Oregon. Please explain to me what teams they played. And then they got, and I'll use Royce's analogy, the best high school team in Virginia.
Yeah.
I mean, and even like, so we should have had something like Ole Miss. Ole Miss played a very difficult schedule, and they got to play a cupcake game. Sorry, I'm very sorry to I'm going blank right now. It wasn't James Madison. It was
They played Tulane,
Tulane.
which they had already
Now,
beat, by 30, by 35 points, earlier in the year.
did Alabama play Ole Miss
No,
this year?
no.
You couldn't have flipped that game? You couldn't have said, you know what, we don't want to see the two games again. Let's just do this. Now, I understand that makes it more, if anything, Oregon should have had to play Alabama. Freaking make Alabama go up to the Northwest. Like, I don't see why that's a thing. And after watching, I did not watch Saturday games. I watched highlights where I saw the scores of like, okay, I'm glad I didn't waste my time watching these games. Even the 10-3 with Miami. You should be rewarded, and there should be more games played at home. I would love to see Indiana host Alabama this next week. Hopefully it'd be cool to be in the snow. Now, of course, the Rose Bowl, I know they're not going to change some things because they want those pinnacle games, but like more teams should have that opportunity. The city of Norman had a $40 million weekend because of this. I think Ole Miss, they said they got $74 million of revenue within the city.
Right.
Because it was on a Saturday. So like that's also another massive thing for the city, not just for the school, but have that kind of impact economically.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that's a huge reward.
Yeah.
And so do you say, you know what, the conference championship games don't mean much anymore, especially if you're Alabama, because everyone else dropped with them? Something needs to change. The conference championships need to go away, and they need to sit there and really go, do we put someone like the Power Five in there? Maybe one. Or you tell me the conference championship games they matter, so Duke should have gotten in.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're looking at. I don't have a huge problem with the way things are set up, but I do think it's stupid that you're putting teams that are like not even in the top, that are barely in the top 20, in the league, in this game. Like the fact that that they put two teams that had already played against each other in two matchups. So they were, Ole Miss has already played Tulane. We've already played Alabama. To match them up in the first round just seems super silly to me, how they would do that and everything. And it just, to me, I'm of the opinion that there should be no auto bids. Make it a 12 team. If it's a 12 team playoff, you pick the 12 best team, or the 12 teams that have earned the spot and put them in. If that's if BYU gets in and Notre Dame gets in, then do that.
Cool.
Because think about if Notre Dame say Miami had been, like, if they had reshuffled it, everything, say Miami was the 9 seed and we played Miami, say Alabama was the 10 seed and they played A&M, and then Ole Miss and Oregon are playing, Notre Dame and BYU. That's,
it's still a better matchup.
Maybe BYU still gets blown out, but that's probably the only team but I don't think they would against, Oregon or Ole Miss. So there's just things that are working in there that it just doesn't make sense to. I understand giving these teams a chance, whether it's an ACC team or a Big 12 team or, a Sun Belt team or whatever. I understand giving those teams a chance, but give them a chance if they've earned it by beating a good team, by going undefeated. I mean, if Tulane is undefeated, sure, let them get that extra space, but they lost 2 games already against horrible competition. And we talked about this before the playoff even. I mean, there's no reason that their record is just bad. Like comparing their 10-2 versus OU's 10-2, or even you know like Vanderbilt's 10-2 is just silly.
Part of me believes that when the ratings come out and they show how bad Saturday was in terms of who watched the games,
Oh yeah,
like here's my conspiracy hat. They're going to make it to where this will never happen again. Every game is going to be a key matchup because if you're Pepsi, yeah, sure, I'll put some money into this, but I'm not gonna spend extra money to have my program or my product on that.
yeah. I mean, I
Like, because I know you're not gonna watch it.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I look at that and I'm sitting there and I'm just like I am a pretty diehard college football fan, and I will watch like I watched A&M. I watched the A&M Miami game, as much as I could. Clark had a basketball game, but I like his basketball game was going on, and I had it on my phone, at the same time. So like
Mm-hmm.
I'm a, but I probably watched about 10 minutes of Ole Miss Tulane and about 10 minutes of Oregon, George, James Madison. So like, and I'm a diehard college football fan. Like I'm not. I mean, it
Yeah.
was over. I mean, it was over. Both those games were over in the first quarter.
Yes. I asked my smart device. I was like, hey, what's the score of the game? And it was just like, still in progress. It just started the first quarter. I'm like, oh, it's already that bad.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
no. I mean, now, and it's not like a situation where like, okay, OU's up on Alabama 17-0. There's a difference. Now, if you would have told me Tulane had gone up 17-0, everyone's tuning in and go, okay, what's happening?
yeah.
But it's that it. Even I was 51-34 is not a presentable match for any sport.
No,
It was a waste of a seed, and
exactly,
I
exactly. That
think they'll adjust it, but
yeah.
I don't know.
So just touching base on predictions and everything. That I wrote down here.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, um, yours and Paul's predictions for the national championship did not come to
tanked,
fruition.
tanked.
Yeah, since you guys picked OU, I've picked Georgia, so I still have a team. I made it one extra week than you because the team I picked didn't play. Um, so my assumption is they'll be able to take care of business this weekend, but who knows? So let's look at. So we all picked Oregon, we all picked OU, we all picked Ole Miss, and then you guys picked Miami and I picked A&M. So
Yep.
you know, Oregon, Ole Miss were easy picks. Obviously, OU. We don't shoot ourselves in the foot. We got a chance to win that game. Basically 10 points
Yes.
off of unforced errors, pretty much. That we gave up.
Yeah.
Um, so we kind of got stuff coming in and everything for. So we need to look at predictions, and we can text Paul and get his predictions for this upcoming group of playoff games. Because we got Alabama versus Indiana, we got Oregon versus Texas Tech, we got Miami versus Ohio State, and we got Ole Miss versus Georgia. So
Some good games.
yeah, so those should be. I mean, this is what the playoff is made about. Like these are going to be good games. Georgia, Georgia Ole Miss has already played, but that was a pretty good game. I mean, Ole Miss, gave them a tough battle and everything.
Yep.
So looking at Alabama, Indiana, who do you have? Who do you have on that one?
If it again, I think I said it last week. If it wasn't OU, I'd want Indiana to win the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's who I'm
I
cheering.
just
I'd say that's who I'm cheering for. Like to win out, I'd probably rather see Indiana than any of these other teams because I hate Tech. I hate Oregon. I don't want. I mean, though it may make us look better, I don't ever cheer for Alabama. And the same with
nope.
Miami, Ohio State. I mean, maybe Ole Miss. Like I'd probably say it's Indiana then Ole Miss are my two that I would root for over any of those other teams.
I think logically, I would love for Indiana to smoke them, but I think Alabama's too much for Indiana. Hope I'm wrong, but I don't see Indiana winning that game.
Yeah, I think that I'm picking Alabama as well. Now,
Okay.
that may just be recency bias, what we saw on the field. Who knows? Indiana may be good, but like we've said, they played Ohio State, beat Ohio State. They played um they played Oregon, beat Oregon, but those are the two best and only good teams that they played all year.
And again, we don't know truly how good those teams are. The only one we have a little bit of a bar is Ohio State beating Texas. But that was at Ohio State. It was Arch Manning's first game. Like, there's all reasons why maybe Texas didn't win that game.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So, okay. So then going to Oregon, Texas Tech. Oregon, Texas Tech. Who you got?
I really think Texas Tech has the firepower to do it. Is that in Arizona?
That's what I'm trying to pull up. I don't know what.
Because of course the Alabama game's in the Rose Bowl.
I just want a bracket. Gosh, just give me the bracket already.
While we're on that, I also did want to say if going back to the standings and how we would basically seed, if we went to the best 12, regardless of who it is, it could be 8 Big Ten teams one year. Well, good for the Big Ten. I do believe that we should not have any standings at all. No one should be ranked until at least after week 4. That's my only sidebar.
Well, for the college football playoff, they don't rank them until
there's still a little bit of a bias between coaches and AP poll. I guarantee that's why they initially put those teams out in that order.
I don't think they should have any rankings until till after the season's over. I don't think they should have this little show that they have that talks about it every week.
Their show should be one show.
Yeah,
maybe 2. But if you remove conference,
basketball doesn't do a show every week, with seedings and stuff like that.
It's a big deal.
Yeah,
it's a massive deal.
Like, why wouldn't they just go, hey, let's go with these teams and let's just be done with it on that. Okay, so which game? Texas Tech, Oregon.
Texas Tech.
That's at Orange. That's at the Orange Bowl in Miami. So
that's a tough travel for Oregon. Golly.
So January 1st at 11 Central is that game. Alabama, Indiana.
11 Central?
Yeah, 11 Central. So 12. So just the normal noon, basically the noon kickoff.
It's like what? That's at 9:00 for them in their minds.
Yeah, but they've got to be used to that. They're like Oregon.
Yeah, you'd hope they travel for a week.
Well, they've been traveling to the East Coast, for all the Big Ten games. They play they play some in the Central Time Zone, but they play a lot in the Eastern Time Zone.
True.
So
yeah, I think Tech wins.
So that's what I'm not sure about. So, okay, so I'll put you down for Tech. I think Tech is better, but I think I'm going to pick Oregon. Who knows though? It's one of those that I think it's a pretty close pick 'em on both those. Okay, Ole Miss, Georgia. It's at 8:00, 7:00 Central on January 1st in the Sugar Bowl. So it's in Louisiana. So both of these teams have a pretty, decent drive, easy drive. I'd say Ole Miss is closer, but Georgia fans are going to travel to that.
Oh, they'll travel really well.
No problem. So, I'll pick first. So I think I'm going to pick, well, you know what? I'm going to pick Georgia since they are my,
gotta have to.
Yeah. Since I picked them already, to win it all. So then what do you got? Georgia, Ole Miss.
Who's coaching Ole Miss right now?
So Ole
And
Miss,
like how many people did they lose?
so they kept most of their offensive coaches are coaching this game,
Okay.
and then their defensive coordinator is their head coach, is their new head coach, officially new head coach. Um, so they coaching wise, they basically lost Lane Kiffin for the playoff run, and every other coach is kind of hanging around. I think the offensive coordinator is going to LSU, but they're letting him coach during the playoffs.
Was that game at Ole Miss
Yeah.
when Georgia won? It was at Ole
Oh,
Miss.
uh, that's a good question.
I can never remember if the first team, if it's because with soccer, it's like the first team's listed as home team. I think it might have actually been at Georgia. Yeah, it was in Athens.
It was in
Yeah, it was
Athens.
at
Okay.
Georgia. Okay, so I mean, golly, they played them 43-35. Man, I'm gonna say Ole Miss. I'm
Okay.
gonna say Ole Miss does it.
Okay. I mean, here's the thing. I think Ole Miss is good enough that they can. It's just going to be a tough one to, like we said, beating anybody twice in a row. That's why I would have rather played Notre Dame or Miami over Alabama, because beating anybody twice in a row is tough, and Alabama's defense is dang good. So
Yes.
so Georgia has a great defense. So we kind of got to figure out what we need to do. So okay.
Paul. So just updated. Paul states Georgia over Ole Miss. He actually
Okay.
gave it a score prediction 35-21. Uh, and then Indiana to lose to Alabama. Sorry, I read
So
that wrong.
so Paul's
Alabama. Yep,
so Paul's picking Alabama. Okay.
and Georgia.
And then who's he picking
Oh,
between Tech and Oregon?
Tech 31-28.
Okay. Tech. Okay. Georgia. And then so then our last game, it's actually the first game of the quarterfinals, which is it's the first game of the quarterfinals, so it's December 31st at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. Miami versus Ohio State at the Cotton Bowl in
Ooh,
Arlington. So that's another thing. My brother's an A&M fan, and man,
is he really?
yeah, yeah. Well, he went to A&M. He graduated from A&M. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he
Is he
was,
going?
it was like both me and him. Like he texted me and he's like, "Hey, sorry." I had told him I had Venmoed him $50, and I was like, "Hey, can you put this on? Can you get?" I think I was like, I don't know how legal this is or whatever, but I'm like, "Hey, can you put this on OU to win the national championship?" And because they paid 5,000, so if I bet $50, I'd have won 2,500. So, and he's like, "I got a buddy that I think can place that." And then, so after we lost, he's like, "I actually didn't get the bet down, so I sent your $50 back." So I didn't lose my $50. But
Bless you.
both me and him, like if A&M could have won and we could have won, we'd have played in the in the championship game because we were on opposite sides of the bracket. But man,
Oof.
like A&M, gosh, man, they just could not. They had a lot of offense, but they just could not finish their drives, and their kicker was horrible. I think they missed like between Miami and A&M, I think they missed 5 field goals between them. And some of them chip
You have
shot.
one job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I remember seeing one of them. You're like, oh, you missed that? Yeah.
So
Paul's saying Paul State and Ohio State.
Paul's taking Ohio State. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
I man, I'm I think I got to pick Ohio State too, cuz I don't think Miami. I think Ohio State's defense is good enough to shut Miami down.
If they could barely take over A&M, and they looked bad. I don't think A&M or Miami looked that good either. I'm saying Ohio State.
Okay. I mean, and here's the thing. I think A&M's defense is really good. I think they have a really good defense. And I think in some of the ways, I think A&M's season, um, they had a pretty easy season, up until they played Texas. And I think they had a lot of the same, I guess I'd say they had a lot of the same things that were their problems that OU had as our problems. A&M had a great defense. OU had a great defense, but A&M's offense and OU's offense just couldn't put things together and couldn't keep from making big mistakes sometimes. So I think A&M and OU were pretty similar in that aspect of the game and everything.
I mean,
So, so I mean,
the last two games they lost to, of course, Miami and Texas, but just going back through, these are all the teams they beat because, of course, they went undefeated until then. Samford, South Carolina, Missouri, LSU, Arkansas, Florida, Mississippi State, Auburn, Notre Dame, Utah State, Texas, San Antonio, and then that was it. So,
Notre
I'll
Dame,
be honest,
basically
I would love.
Notre
Yes.
Dame was it, right?
Notre Dame, and then
Missouri was decent,
Missouri,
but not great.
I mean, no, not. But if I would much rather take that SEC schedule versus what we've had.
What we dealt with, yeah, right, yeah. So yeah. So I mean, I don't want to say they were frauds because I think their defense was good enough to keep them in a lot of games, but they definitely didn't have as difficult of a schedule, and so it was a tough, tough to finish and everything. But so yeah, so I think this next round of games, it's going to be right around the 31st, on the 31st and the 1st. Got some good opportunities there and everything for some good games. I think I don't see a bad game in this group really.
I mean, there was only one good game last week. This is much better.
Yeah,
much better.
Which here's the thing. I didn't think I'm a defensive person. I really like defense, so I didn't mind the Miami the Miami game, but that was not. It was good defense and it was really bad offense at times and bad special teams. So
yep.
So okay, well, college football playoff, we got that going. So
we're nearly an hour, so I think we may pause this one. If you guys want to listen to, of course, our EPL will be later on, a different episode. We may make an entire podcast over the Thunder. So episode 30 might be the Thunder because I have a lot to rant about, and it may take just as long as this did, in a good way.
Yeah.
So if you guys are listening to this, reply, comment, post, whatever you want to do with either this, Instagram, Twitter. Get in touch with us. We would like to know what y'all think about the season, what you guys think about if Mateer comes back, and honestly too, give us your predictions. Are we all kind of the same boat of we all pick Ohio State, or do you guys believe Miami might pull that out? Whatever.
Yeah.
So all the fun things: like, subscribe, comment, share to a friend, enemy, whatever. So on to the next one.
Awesome.
Yeah. Steven, you got anything?
Check us out. Remember, check us out on Facebook, Instagram. Well, mostly Instagram, I guess. Not really Facebook.
Instagram, and then our X accounts.
Our X accounts on Twitter. Yeah.
What is Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook. I'm an olds. I don't know. I'm a Facebooks.
I was waiting for we have our MySpace. Yeah. Has the music in the background and everything.
Whenever I first got Facebook, I think it was called the Facebook. So you
were around when it was just college kids.
Yep.
And that was it.
Yep. Had to have a college login, college. But it was a better place then. It was before there were no advertisements on it either. So
now that's all it is. You don't have friends.
Yep.
It's just what they want to shove down your throat.
Yep, for sure. So
that's our PSA for the day.
Yeah, that's another rant. So, well, thanks, guys. Yeah,
yep.
Catch us on the next episode. We'll either talk only Premier League or maybe we'll hit some Thunder and Premier League. But yeah, thanks for joining us, and hopefully, you keep watching. We'll see what we got coming up, as the season progresses when it comes to Thunder.
Oh, we'll have good content. I mean, the Thunder
Yep.
25-3. We'll leave it there.
Yep, for sure. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.